Hey everybody, I'm Jody Vance.
Hey everybody, I'm George Affleck.
And it is time for your Sitcast.
Oh, nice.
I know. We're going to talk about big moves at the federal level, some questionable moves at the provincial level, and some head shakers and scratchers from the municipal level. Hope you're hooked in and hooked up because it is time for
UnSpun. All right.
new Governor General, 31st
yeah.
Governor General. What do you think about this appointment?
She's obviously an established person. I mean, she's a former judge at the Supreme Court. She's 78.
Louise Arbour. Yes.
Yes. I think she seems solid, whatever. I mean, I love our parliamentary system, and the Governor General is a figurehead, but the structure of this system that we have has the checks and balances that I think work better than the U.S. version.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that.
Yes.
I love that it's another woman. I love that. I love that she's a Canadian lawyer, a prosecutor, a jurist, a UN Commissioner for Human Rights. I mean, this is not just checking a box. This is somebody who understands the laws of the land, understands what sovereignty means. Like when you're being challenged by, I don't know, maybe your closest trade partner perennially up until recently. I think that she brings,
Sorry, hold on. I've lost my mic. I don't know what's going on. We're always having issues these days. All right,
only the last 2 days, only since we've been Sitcasts, only since we've been a part of Sitka Media. Have you had people asking you questions about Sitka Media, by the way?
Yes, of course, saying what is it, and I explained that it's what it is, but also we got to work harder at making sure people can find us, because I got a lot of comments saying, "Where are you guys? Did you do a show last week?" So we apologize to those people who are we're trying to find us last week on our usual channels, and I will make sure that we put out all the places that we are, because we're on Sitka Media's YouTube channel now and all their other socials and all their other platforms. So hopefully we'll find everybody this week. But we had a lot of listeners and viewers last week, so it's nice to see.
That's great. And we want to make sure that all the people that, did the like and subscribe will be able to find us on our new platform. But it's a platform that's growing. Again, if you're unfamiliar, go to sitkamedia.ca. And the whole point is to do what George and I have been doing for years now, is cutting through the noise, looking beyond the spin, and talking about the real issues at hand. Can I start with Kitzbühel again, or should we start somewhere else?
It's not good news, right?
Well,
is it?
No.
Is there something I don't know?
Well, okay. So the showdown continues between the city and the park board, obviously. I mean, this past week, we did see a statement go out from City Hall talking about the importance of Kitzbühel and pool infrastructure in the city of Vancouver, which is woeful for what it should be. And it's been punted down the field, another sports reference for you there, George, for forever. But I got a little bit of intel. I'm disappointed in the province, like another knock against the provincial government, frankly, especially given the fact that Kitzbühel is in our premier's riding. Makes me a little crazy. But basically, I'm a little crazy. I'm sad that a generation of kids are going to never know the joys of growing up in that pool. But I feel we can free Kitzbühel. This is the hill I'm going to die on, George. You know it is. I'm being told, and my sources say, that a motion is coming forward May 20th, so Wednesday, May 20th, at council to open the pool to pre-pandemic full capacity and really push back on that towards park board. And I'm going to go speak at City Hall.
Wow.
I know, and I'm going to invite all my friends who they keep telling me. I know maybe they won't let me talk. You only get 2 minutes, right?
Two or three. It used to be 5. I know it's definitely not 5. I think it's 3. So it might be
I
2.
can't sneeze in 2 minutes, George. I can't sneeze.
I know, it's tough. 2 minutes is fast, and 5 was even fast. So
I'm going to work on this. How about this? Can I workworkop it with you real quick? Here's kind of what I want to say.
4, 5 years, 6 years, 8, 9 years. Go ahead.
Feels like 20 years, Jody. I would say early stage 2 water restriction, right? This is the earliest we've been in stage 2 water restrictions in Vancouver. Full fire ban that went in place today on Thursday. It is absolutely nuts that this pool won't open until mid-June, and that the reservation system sessions and cleaning closures are continuing. Why, instead, are we not throwing the doors open to as many people as possible for as long as possible, opening early, and actually having discussions about extending the season until November?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, 100%. Like, why not? The pool should definitely be open until mid-October, for sure.
At least.
And it definitely should be open now.
Yeah.
Like last weekend. Come on.
When it was 27 degrees in Vancouver, like it's just, and now it's about, do you want a 15-year plan or a 35-year plan or a 75-year plan? And the 75-year plan is $430 million. And it's
Just
like,
give me a 1-year
open
plan.
the pool.
Give me a 1-day plan for now. Like, what's happening tomorrow?
Remember last year the excuse was we don't have enough lifeguards?
Yeah, now they've added lifeguards, or they've budgeted for lifeguards. But it's just one excuse after another. And why is it always every year? It's like, oh, we're not going to be able to do it. Like, you've known since you closed the pool too early last year what you need to do to open the pool next year. What are you dilly-dallying about?
What is the spin on this, George? Like, can you imagine what's happening?
Incompetence.
Thank you. I think it adds credibility when you say it. It's always me saying it. But I'm not convinced that it's just the commissioners at the park board. I think it is a full system failure. And I do believe that the premier should be stepping in here and saying, okay, enough, open the pool. Open it.
He certainly, from a PR point of view, would be a good move for him to go meet with the park board and have a conversation about his riding and the things that are important to his riding, and make sure the press know that he's doing this meeting. That would be leadership. But I think at the park board level, management is only as good as the leaders that govern them. And the commissioners are the governors of the park board. So therefore, the only fingers that need to be pointed are at the people we elected in charge of this park board. You can try and blame staff, but they are hired. Certainly senior management are brought on by the park board themselves. The commissioners, they vote on certainly the general manager, and I'm not criticizing the general manager, but everything comes from the top down, and if things aren't happening properly, then you need to look at the people you voted for and then make sure that they do the right job when it comes to the management team behind it. And that's your job. I mean, you're not meant to we're not asking the commissioners to go there with scrub brushes and chlorine counters. I mean, just make sure the people that you pay a lot of money for. What is the general manager at Park worth? $250, $240, $260,
Easily.
something like that. $1,000 a year.
Yeah.
Sweet gig.
Sweet lifetime appointment.
Well, they've gone through quite a few
feels
GMs
like it,
over the last 5 years.
It takes forever and a day. It takes like back to back failures in order to be like, we need someone new. We're just going to ask them to move along, or they've retired. Okay.
Well, October is election time, and you can start by giving the commissioners that you think are useless the boot and find ones that are good and vote for them, because we're not losing our elected park board anytime soon by the looks of it.
It's wild.
And you can blame David Eby for that.
I kind of do. I kind of do. And at first I thought, this isn't a provincial problem. This is a municipal problem. We can, we should and could be able to fix this. No, I am, and I'm one of his constituents. So, Premier,
maybe you should be
listening,
taking your 2-minute talk to his office.
Hello. I don't feel like he's listening to me. I don't feel like he's listening because as you said,
and the polling shows it. He's not listening to anybody.
It's a tough one. On the lifeguard thing, I do feel like it was a bit of a win because so many sources who are lifeguards came to me and said, this is not a lifeguard problem. Kids Pool is not closed or diminished capacity by 1/4 over years because of lifeguards. It's just not true. Lifeguards are ready, willing, and available, and it's an internal staff scheduling. There's so much politics going on behind the scenes as well. But there was a real threat that there were going to be no lifeguards on our beaches this summer. Like, we're inviting the world for FIFA in a city of beaches, and they were going to pull lifeguards in the name of staffing Kit's Pool, which I was like,
I'm surprised
okay.
FIFA haven't closed our beaches. Aren't they closing everything else in this city? Don't they?
Oh, we got to get to that. But before we
maybe
go
we should get FIFA
there,
to go meet with Park Board and show
Maybe
them how
we
things
should.
are done. Because frankly, they get to do anything they want.
just on the note that the Park Board has decided to keep beaches open with lifeguards.
Yes. Yay.
In the small print, it's for this year.
Well, we'll take it where we get it.
Yeah, we'll be right back at this conversation a year from now. It'll be so exhausting.
Season 10.
Now, okay, straight into FIFA because you brought it up. Are you in the closure zone, George Affleck?
I'm one block out. So basically, Pacific, they said today, is Pacific Avenue, and I'm on Pacific Street. So I think up to just past the Canby Street Bridge, Pacific Boulevard and Avenue. It changes names all the way along Pacific Avenue, Street, Boulevard.
Right.
So basically everything from Canby all the way around past Science World is closed. And that includes, I guess, Quebec Street. So for 2 months. Not even like during game days. We're talking full closure. I guess the head cheese of FIFA wants a parade every day or something so he can, have a motorcade that he demands all the time when he goes to cities. Like he's the president of the world or the Pope or something. Like even the Pope, I'm like, okay, whatever. But
how awkward when he tried to get the delegate from Israel and the delegate from Palestine to do a photo op with him when they were all gathered here last week. It was like, this guy seems, I don't know, tone deaf. Hopefully, you know what, George? I remember back in the days and the weeks, months leading up to the 2010 Olympic Games that we were all like, this is gonna be terrible. And then it happened and it was awesome.
It was fun,
So,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
the organizations like Olympic Committee and FIFA clearly are a structure that is completely corrupt and whatever. We could argue about this, and Bob Mackin could talk about it for the rest of his days. But at the end of the day, when we come out to party like we did the Olympics, okay, yeah, there's all that stuff and all the craziness and all this weird corporate structure of these organizations, and that's not cool. But if we can have fun like we did during the Olympics, I'll be happy. I mean, I live downtown, and we would walk down to Robson Square, almost any evening.
Molson Canadian House.
Yeah, and the weather was amazing, and we would go there, and this is going to be summer for this. It was winter, and it was so much fun, and people were so positive, and the first couple of days were rough, but then it started to turn around, and I think that's going to happen here too. Once you get into the mood and you feel like, look at the city's never been cleaner. Like
no,
right
I was
now.
just going to say, right after we talked, I left literally to run my errands, go do Pilates, whatever, do the things that I do. And I was stopped at a light, and I turned, and there was a guy cleaning graffiti off a city sign and a mailbox. And it came off, I was surprised. I was like, wow, why didn't we do that sooner?
A little bit of elbow grease is all we need.
That's all we need. So we're cleaning up for FIFA. We're cleaning up for FIFA, and we're trying to do what with the people who are vulnerable in this city. There's a lot of controversy about the overdose prevention site that was approved by the provincial health authority, and then the city of Vancouver blocked it. Now, this is it's closer to you than it is to me in terms of proximity. So you set this one up and give it the UnSpun treatment, please.
Well, there was the overdose prevention, the site right beside the park, blocked from my house, and it was crazy, chaos, so unmanaged. There's people all over the streets, lying in the park, drugs everywhere. This park is where my kids played and where people, they're grown up now, but it's a very busy park for children, where the other site was. So Yaletown was very unhappy. There was a class action lawsuit. They won. They had to move it. So they moved it, or they closed it down basically, and now they want to reopen it a couple blocks, not even like a block and a half away from where it was. And there was a press conference a couple days ago with a lot of downtown businesses saying this is a terrible idea. And so, well, not surprisingly, ABC, the party in power in Vancouver, made a decision that they would not allow this. And this has resulted in a lot of backlash from specific people that you can talk about, but I think in my mind, certainly for Yaletown, it's a good thing not to have it, frankly. You've got to spread this pain, this challenge in other parts of the city, other parts of the region. It's like, the numbers that you're seeing, like there's such a problem downtown and we need this downtown, but you're going, is it because all the stuff's downtown, is that there's a problem? Or is it because there's nothing downtown? I mean, it's this weird dichotomy of a situation where, yeah, we have so much problem downtown with overdose because we have everything for the people doing drugs downtown. So at some point you have to ask yourself, is that the problem? That we have too much stuff downtown, and maybe we need to share this across the region, across the province, that it can't just be something that's solved in an 8-block radius in the city of Vancouver? That's what I think. And so, the decision by ABC, which I believe is based on, they know that the way I'm talking is the way most Vancouverites feel right now. And so we're fed up with it. You can try and argue against it and think that you're winning in politically, but you're not. It's not a winning political argument to say keep it downtown. It really isn't right now. Clean up the downtown, what they're doing for FIFA. Stop with all these sites where we're creating a problem in neighborhoods where there's families and kids, and focus on the big picture and think about this as a provincial and a federal issue, not a downtown issue.
I'm going to come in a little more down the middle on the urgency of the crisis that we're in. I agree with you that things should be spread across not just Metro Vancouver, but also the province. And there was a time where that was part of building spaces. There are halfway houses that nobody knows about that are peppered throughout neighborhoods that have never been a problem. But because there's been so much NIMBYism around anything being built and the engagement in why and what is that? I mean, the 8th and Arbutus is a perfect example. Like even having supportive housing is people are like, no, we will not have that next door to fill in the blank. Like nobody wants a neighborhood that has any site of help. But to your point about the one that got closed, it was drugs everywhere. It was a chop shop in front. The people who were running it have now run 3 and would be running this other one. Like those are the things that I'm like, how is this group that has failed twice going to run another one? When will we work with the Ministry of Health? Josie Osborne is trying to figure out places to save lives. Like I get why she's doing what she's doing, and I understand where the city's like, it's going into an election year. Nobody wants, more drugs downtown, which is what some people think overdose prevention is, which Guy Felicella, who's recovered from living on the streets and has a beautiful family and is now educating kids in schools about this. There is something to be learned here, but it's become such a political wedge issue and it's like, why not? And here's my idea, because I'm not in charge of anything and don't know budgets. While we're building a massive new hospital that is very close proximity to the downtown east side, just on the other side of, really, the other end of False Creek from Yaletown, if you just go across that expo land or whatever, that's where the new St. Paul's Hospital is being built. If we can build private bungalow suites for the celebration of light in a week, we should be able to build temporary Overdose Prevention Society spaces on a corner of that site that then becomes part of what is the hospital. Imagine a world, George, where the emergency room at St. Paul's Hospital, which will be BC's biggest, newest, shiniest, most state-of-the-art hospital, that has an ER that isn't inundated with people that have nowhere else to go. Because like it or not, our emergency room problems are about people who can't get help. That maybe if there were overdose prevention sites where people could go and get the supports they need, they wouldn't go to the emergency room every single day or sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, which I think is what's happening. Why Yaletown is because it was St. Paul's Hospital was right there, right? And if we're moving over there, why not let's set up over there with the OPS? Because I think it's needed. Remember the needle exchange back when HIV was
they're
running
walking around with the
rampant,
bags,
right? But it
street
was
nurses.
crazy. People were they were in such peril. And having clean needles, like no, people didn't want anybody handing out heroin, but those clean needles ultimately did lead to one piece of that tragic time in history coming to an end because it stopped the,
Well, and let's not forget
continuation of it.
And the OPS, the one in the original one in the downtown east side, it was brought in by MPA by Philip Owen. Controversially, he was very pushed hard
Yes.
against, but the whole 4 pillars, the whole.
I know.
It was that's just one of the pillars. They didn't end up doing the other 3, and so what's left was one pillar. That's I don't know what that is. That's not that's a
pogo stick.
It's a pogo stick.
It's a pogo stick.
You've done nothing on the other 3 pillars.
No.
You've left this, and if you go to the one downtown, when it first opened, it was pristine and beautiful. That original one, it looks pretty rough. Like the city should be taking care of it and cleaning it and making sure it's properly staffed, as should any other site if they're going to add them.
The SROs are
But if you're not going to do
ridiculous.
the other pillars, if you're not going to do the other legs of this table to keep the table standing, then you need to ask yourself, what are we trying to achieve here?
What are we doing?
And I think it's abject failure on every level that what we've done across this province and this country for drug addiction. And by the way, drug addiction doesn't just start like randomly. This is a generational problem. I've told you stories where even when I was on council, a couple of things. One was that people up in Terrace will tell an alcoholic, oh, well, if you go to the city in Vancouver, you can get more support. So they're driving traffic. Other social workers from across this province and across the country, frankly, because we heard about the bus getting sent from Saskatchewan to Vancouver. Oh, go to Vancouver. They got lots of facilities for you on the downtown east side. Oh, great. Well, true. But we also have a lot of drug addicts down there who, hang out with your best friends who are, whether you're an alcoholic, whatever your addiction might be. Guess what happens? It gets worse. Generally, it's really hard if you want to get off your drugs or alcohol if you're around the people who are also drug and alcohol addicts. So there's that, but also...
And people do say that about recovery as well. To your point, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
If you speak to people who have, found their feet again, recovered from, and are living with the addiction in a healthy way, because you never really get rid of, it's not a character flaw, it's a disease, right? Alcoholism is not a character flaw. Drug use for people who have lived a life in pain and become addicted, that's not a character flaw, it's a disease. But they will tell you, if you go into rehab and then return back to where you were living because you can't afford to go anywhere else and there's nowhere else for you to go, and you just go back into that same environment, the odds of you relapsing are massive.
Yeah, totally. So if government,
the supports are necessary.
If the municipal government and the federal government and the provincial government aren't aligned in dealing with drug addiction, education, housing, foster care represents a huge chunk of the people that are addicted on the downtown east side specifically, and of course just the whole family dynamic and how we are operating as a country and how we embrace how we raise our families. I don't mean like a traditional family, but it's things have gone sideways for too long, but it's a strategic approach that all governments need to focus on. But it's not going to happen overnight either. It's going to take multi-generations, so it means multiple governments, multiple different parties, left, right wing, have to agree on this and commit to a plan that they don't stray from. Because if you stray from the plan, you fail. You fail.
You end up not having a bridge built. Anyway, if you stray from the plan. Okay, so I want to get to a couple of more things, and we've only got like 5 minutes to go because we try and keep this to 30 minutes. Somebody who was watching last week said it should be an hour. We try and keep it to 30 minutes here on sitkamedia.ca's UnSpun podcast. Kennedy Stewart said some stuff on the Jazz Johal show this week that kind of was like a light bulb of what? He said that federal lawyers interviewed him about a quote-unquote BC cabinet minister who he says is under investigation, and said that Premier David Eby and other cabinet members were aware of the investigation. The former mayor was also an MP for the federal MP for 7 years. He didn't name the minister he says is under investigation. That's just for clarity for people who are catching up on Kennedy Stewart here. The government house leader, though, Mike Farnworth, said, and I quote, if any member of cabinet or caucus was under investigation by the RCMP or CSIS, they would not be in the cabinet and they would not be in caucus, end quote. What do you think is the spin here?
Well, isn't every single NDP or a cabinet minister or a secretary of state? So this could be anybody. So yeah, these rumors I've heard these rumors for quite a long time, and interesting
About
that
foreign
Ken
interference. Sorry, I
foreign
didn't say
interference.
that.
Yeah, and it's a big thing for Kennedy Stewart to say that and not to name the person. Probably, obviously smart, but what is his goal? Why is he doing this? What's going on here, Kennedy? Are you just trying to get
Yeah.
exposure for yourself? But it is risky. You have to be. The whole spy world is a very complicated one, and calling people spies and being involved in this kind of espionage or whatever you want to call it, it can be very risky for that person, especially if it's not true. So whoever this person is he's talking about, you can't just say that kind of stuff. You can't. And if there is an investigation
But
going
he
on,
did.
then the investigation will come to do its job. And I would imagine that
Yeah.
that Mike Farnworth and the Premier have been told that they cannot say anything legally about any
Right.
investigation because we're talking like a really significant impact, and like this is serious business. And so if they're
So
not
what was
if they're
Kennedy
not telling the
Stewart
truth,
doing?
they will have to, if it comes out that it's true, they will say, well, we weren't allowed to say that, we have to say that. So they are
Right.
covered because they can basically say we were not allowed to say anything because of that time, blah blah blah. But they're saying that there's not there, so and they would have kicked him out. But if you kick out somebody, they're going to ask, why are you kicking that person out? So there's this, you're in a loop in a
But
government
why
if
would
this is
Kennedy
true.
Stewart do this? Like to what benefit?
Because he's seen Brad West's success in calling out the Chinese government
Okay.
influence, I would say, don't you think? Like
I
Brad West has been
I
very
was just waiting
strategic
for
about
you to
it.
get I was just waiting for you to get to the unspun part. I think you're right. I think he thinks, well, I could be like Brad West.
And heck, why not run for mayor again? Everybody else is. We got another Cope mayoral candidate. Ken Sim is just sitting there going, "Thank you very much, left wing. Keep adding more mayoral candidates. It's all good for me."
Oh,
You know,
I think ABC is very worried about another right-leaning candidate entering this field.
there is no that I've heard of coming, so I wouldn't worry. There's not. Do you know of one? I don't
No,
think so. So I think
I
the
don't have
the
I don't have
split on the left.
confirmation on it, but I'll let you know when I hear it. I'll
Okay,
let
well,
you
the
know when
split
I
on the
hear it.
left
I
is
think
all
there's a
good
little bit
news.
of a if there's a coalition of left groups, like if the
Well, they better
group
get
of
their act together.
if the
It's
group
almost-
of the Bickersons got together, they could, stop the train that's coming down, as you've predicted, that Ken Sim will win again because the splintering of the vote on the left. So, hopefully people are mindful of how politics works in that way. Thank you to you. I want to mention this one more thing because I think it's important in municipal politics. This is about the Shenyun thing. You saw this, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's springtime in Vancouver because you start seeing the beautiful, Chinese dancing of Shenyun. It's, coming to town, get your tickets. Shenyun is a signal of spring, but apparently it's also anti-China propaganda, according to those are the Chinese consulate. The word is that the Chinese consulate officials maybe met with somebody from City Hall and tried to put pressure on them to cancel Shenyun. And there's allegations that there were some bomb threats for the production in early April at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. I didn't hear about any bomb threats at the time, but
Well, you
that
never
feels
would.
like something. But it's like, even that being in the newspaper is going to hurt that production next year. Like, people are very twitchy and scared about just being in public spaces in such a volatile time. It feels like, anyway. But what do you think about how the reaction came down from City Hall on, like, nothing to see here?
I mean, it's the same issue. How do you deal with this? It's this. It goes back to this whole Chinese influence, and I think there's enough evidence, and I think that's the issue that Mark Carney's dealing with. This challenge that he has in order to open up relationships with China, but we also
Right.
at the same time have lots of evidence that there might be influence across this country from the Chinese government in governing our country. So how do you bridge that gap? So it's definitely
Right, because you want the Air Asia deal. You want
yeah.
you want to give Airbus.
We want to sell oil
Air
and
Asia.
gas
Yeah.
and everything else
Right.
to China. So we're in big trouble if we don't, because financially we can't. You look at our population is down by 100,000. Our economy is barely at 0%, 1-2% or something. It was good news that we were actually the GDP and all that stuff, but it's not where it should be.
Right. But it's not
And
submarining, thank God.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's partly related to oil and gas and the price of oil. And so,
Right.
yeah, I just think that this issue of the Chinese government's influence on Canada, it should always be checked.
Right. Especially given our proximity to that, as many consider, especially the Lower Mainland and Metro Vancouver, to be a suburb of Beijing for people. Like, not necessarily the politics, but that's going to come with it. There is a world where capturing the vote of the diaspora, for lack of a better way of putting it, is huge. It is huge, as we saw with utilizing the WeChat and putting out videos to Chinese-speaking citizens here with political messaging. So I think we're going to see a lot more of it. One more thing on Prime Minister Mark Carney before we wrap up here. He's sort of being touted as the leader of the New World Order, and he was invited to, what was it called? He was the first we are the first non-European nation to take part in the European Political Community Summit. Do you think we should join the EU? We talked about that a little last week, right?
Well, it's not as simple as that, obviously. I mean, we always think, EU, then I can go live in Spain. That's what I
just want the money.
I
just want the money. Let's euro it up over there.
Yeah, currency. Well, England never did that, and Sweden didn't. But it's a nice idea, but it's really not logical, I don't think. But good relationships for sure with Europe, I think, are happening. So we'll see. But we need to. I mean, his goal, which 100%, we have to look at the whole world as partners, and that goes because we're in a country full of resources that sell to the world, that the world needs. Energy superpower is what he calls it. But for so long, for the last 20 years, we've had successive governments who've been afraid to make decisions, whether provincial or federal, that will extract those resources so that we can be prosperous as a country and have all the wonderful things that we have and make us such a civil society. There's that irony that the only reason we're such a great country is because we have so much money, but we have that money because of all the stuff that we have, because we became so anti that stuff. We're now, I think, part of the reason we're seeing that challenge on the downtown east side and all this challenge is because we've been cutting the prosperity, the opportunities for prosperity as a country in order to pay for all those things, to deal with all those things that we have every day. And as a result, we are in a situation. So for those people who are against extraction of our resources and selling our resources, then you have to also then understand that the impact will be more homeless people, more drug addiction, worse education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is the payoff. Or
that's the math.
That's
the math.
As a country that has no industry that, we're not a manufacturing country. We're not going to be a car making country or a plane, sure, those are happening, but they really only happen because we have so much money and tax breaks for soccer teams and et cetera.
We didn't even get to talk about the soccer team. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Next week we might know more on that one.
We'll probably know more on that one. It's just very funny that the province is talking to new ownership groups and the city is saying that they want it, and then the current ownership group that has a deal to move the team to Las Vegas is like, interested parties should be talking to us and not politicians. So we'll keep you posted on what's happening there. We made it an entire show without mentioning the administration south of us. I think that's a badge we should wear this week. There was so much we could talk about.
Will be happy about that, I think.
I know. You can follow us on our social media to make sure you get the links to our Sitcast, to UnSpun podcast. Obviously, you can go to sitkamedia.ca. That's where this podcast lives now. But you can also follow on Twitter, George
_
Affleck, or at Jody Vance, Jody with a Y, George _ Affleck, or at Jody Vance on social media. And that is where you'll find us every single Thursday. It's the fastest 30 minutes of unspun politics. See you later, George.
Bye.